on this topic through our guest, Dr. Asmaa Alduhaim, Assistant Professor of Translation at JUST University, and that is guest. First of all, let's welcome the doctor. Welcome to the Good Morning Show, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
It is wonderful to have you with us, Dr. Asmaa. I know that a lot of us really love languages, yes, and whenever we listen to it, it's some kind of music to our ears. Yes, it is. So how did you really had that passion?
Well, I was fascinated by interpreting, to be honest. I used to watch people interpret from one language to another, and I was always fascinated by how do they actually translate and think about the language and then have a different language pronounced. So that was really fascinating for me. And since I was a little kid, I always stand like in front of CNN and try to, you know, interpret or translate into other languages. Language is really something fascinating. It takes you to a different horizon of different languages and different cultures and so on.
Well, it is, as you said, it takes you to another world.
Yes.
You feel that you are living somewhere else beside yourself down here.
Yeah.
And when you say, how can an interpreter really thinks, he hears a language, think it, translate it, and give it to another language at the same time.
Yes.
That's not easy, is it?
No, it's not easy at all, actually. And that's why one of the practices of interpreting, unlike translation, is that you should only do 30 minutes per hour. So when you're interpreting, you should only do 30 minutes, because you basically take the information and then process it in your mind and then try to verbalize it in another language. So that's really draining, even for the brain and the lungs as well. So they take like a lot of meditation and relaxation before a session, and then when you do a 30 minutes, that's it. You can't do any more. You'll be really exhausted, as if you were talking for hours and hours.
Well, that's something new for me to know. This is the first time that I've heard it, that you have to do just 30 minutes, then relaxes. And I can relate to thinking and then translating, processing it, and giving the whole information. Well, Dr. Asmaa, I know that we have a lot of questions, but these questions come to my mind, like translation. It's different, totally different than interpreting.
Yes.
But whenever we see a translation or a translated text on like one of the shelves, and a lot of us really have photos of the funny translation directly, a typical translation. We say it's Google translation.
Google translation, yes.
Exactly. Tell us about that.
I think it's because of technology. Like, you know how technology can be actually a two-edged weapon. So it can help us, you know, explore the world and find the real meaning of a word that we don't know because of, you know, the boundaries of the culture. But in the other hand, some people just use it because, you know, sometimes people get lazy. So they just use it, like use the Google translation, and then they get the typical literal meaning of the word, which gives us all these messed up translation that we see all the time.
Yeah, it's a funny translation, but it is messed up as well.
It is, yeah.
It is. So I know that we just talked about the technology.
Yes.
And sometimes when we are traveling abroad and we don't know the other language, we use those technology. So is technology really replacing personals, or is it not?
That's actually a question I always get, even by students, because they sometimes ask me, is there going to be a time where I'm not going to be needed as a translator? And I always say no, because the difference between us and the machine is that we know the context of the word. So if I give you one word, any word that we have, you can use it certainly in this context and then in a different way in another context. The machine does not really know the context. However, it just knows the meaning of that word. So it can't place it in a context, and that's the difference between us and the machine. That's why we have all these messed up translations.
So we will not be replaced.
No, we will not be replaced. No.
This is really good news for all of us translators. So being a specialist in simultaneous translations, how is the specializations of employed in enriching an individual's culture? I know that if you spoke the language, read it, you can really read a lot.
Yes.
But there are other aspects of it.
Yeah, of course, because you know, when you are an interpreter, you're there on the spot, so it's different than being a translator. And even if you are a translator, it's just like having small text, and then sometimes you have really specialized text. So you need to be, I always tell my students, if you are a translator or interpreter, you need to be curious, you need to investigate, you need to be a researcher, because you have to be specialized in that text in order for you to, you know, send the message correctly, basically. And sometimes you're on the spot, so you need to be specialized in the area, know all the the terminology, and it's really hard. So you will be like an expert in that field as well. It gives you confidence when you are actually knowledgeable in that field, because you will know more and you will be able to perfect what you're doing, basically.
Well, this is really great because knowledge is the key weapon to anything. So when did you start knowing or understanding that you don't want to be a translator and want to be an interpreter?
Yeah, I actually had a chance when I was in the UK and I was doing my studies as a translator, and then we had a booth for interpreters, and my professor there was like, Asma, you're going to go into the booth and you're going to interpret. And I was like, no, I never done it. All I did was running around like a kid interpreting for CNN, for me and my dolls, basically. And then he was like, no, you're going to try it. And when I tried it, I felt like, that's what I want. That's what I wanted to do all my life. That's the moment. And it changed all my life. I became an interpreter, and I do translation, but I rather interpreting all the time.
So you'd rather go there?
Yes, yes.
With the hard work, although the hard work, with everything, the 30 minutes?
It's amazing. All the crazy things that happens in that 30 minutes is just completely different. And sometimes it just makes you know more people, and it's just different experience, basically.
Well, that's wonderful. I think that this really interests our curiosity about it.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of the languages has been taught in the universities.
Yes.
How important is that?
It's very important because now English is the lingua franca, so basically all the students, they know English, but to be equipped with another language, a third language, that's even more important. So that's why we need to teach students to basically perfect Spanish or Italian or French, now Chinese and Russian languages. It's because it's important. If you know Arabic, you already have a good position in the UN and English, because Arabic is one of the most difficult languages. So if you know English and Arabic and a third language, then you have way much more opportunities. So that's a very good thing, that you actually add up to the languages that you know.
So as we say that technology is coming, and the futuristic jobs they need to put on, they said the IT, everything, but do you think that linguistics is one of them as well?
Yeah, because if you see now, everything needs translation. We need translation for the news, we need translation for the medical field, we need translation even for the legal terms, I mean the legal fields, because in banking and all of these areas, we need to translate contracts and so on. So we need it everywhere. So linguistics and translation is needed all over, everywhere, until the end of reality, basically.
Well, this is the end of reality, as you said it. So it is needed. So if a person just like thinks, I want to learn English, I want to learn a new language, how will he certainly choose the right path for himself? How does he, where should he go? Who should he ask?
I think now it's very easy. Everything is accessible. Like you have videos online. You have, before all we had was the TV and, you know, articles online. I mean, not even online. We had like journals and stuff like that. But now it's like everything is accessible online. You can even learn the right grammar online, and you can talk to like the native people of that language through the internet and YouTube and all those forums and blogs and everywhere. So I would say always practice the language, because practice makes better. And if you practice it with the people of that language, you will be way much better than practicing, you know, inside the walls of your basically room or the house.
Yes, exactly. If you didn't practice, you're going to forget it, and that's for sure. So a lot of people, when they learn a language, they are shy from speaking up because of fear of mispronunciations. What should we say to them?
I would say learning a language or speaking in another language by itself is an achievement, is an accomplishment. So don't be shy, just go out there and rock it, basically, because when you speak another language, you will always make mistakes. We make mistakes in our own language, so of course we're going to make mistakes in other languages. It's okay, as long as you correct yourself and just go on and practice and be better. If you don't make mistakes, you'll never be better. You'll never learn, basically.
If you didn't fall, you wouldn't know how to walk.
Exactly.
So when is the right age for a person to learn another language? Because I can see that in the educational system they
Yes.
give it during KG nowadays.
Yes, yes, that's the perfect age, to be honest. Yeah, because the younger you are, the more like your brain is structured to get more information. So the more you can actually learn more languages. That's why now we are urging people to actually learn more languages at the KG age, like you said, like 2 languages beside their Arabic language, because it's already, you know, taught to them in schools and at homes. Yeah. So if they learn 2 languages, they will perfect it by the age like 18 or 19. So if they choose to be an interpreter or a translator, they will already have 3 languages, which is amazing. Yeah. So the younger you are, it's better. When you get older, it's harder because you already structured yourself with your, you know, with a certain mentality basically, and certain rules of language. So it would be harder for you to learn.
Well, speaking about age and getting older, no one is getting older, by the way.
No.
So, Dr. Asmaa, I know that she's one of the ladies that I really respect for Miss Lulwa Al-Rumi said one day that if you want to expand your brain, let's say waves, you have to learn another language, even no matter what the age is.
Yeah.
What do you say about this saying?
I think it's okay to learn if you are older. It doesn't mean that you can't, but it's harder, but that's fine, because it will actually make you more aware of the culture. So it will enrich your information, your knowledge, because you will want to know more about that culture, the metaphor in that culture, the proverbs used in that culture, the poetry in that culture, the literature. So it's like, it's intertwined. Language and culture is really intertwined. So as long as you know about the culture, the language is not just language. It's language and then the culture and then maybe TV shows and so on and so forth.
So much doors to open.
Exactly.
So those doors, when they open for, let's say, a translator, how does he really choose the right door to tackle?
I think this is up to the translator and what they like, because translator can be like a jack of all trades sometimes. Like you can actually like one particular genre, and then you will see translator that only translate literature, like TV shows and novels and stuff like that. And then you will see translators that are obsessed with medical books and you know, dentistry and stuff like that. And then you will have those interpreters who are obsessed with the political field. So it's about what you really like, and then you will perfect that side and that path and basically follow it.
Well, this is really a great time to talk with you, Dr. Asmaa, and I really had a lot of insight. Translators and interpreters, I thought they were the one and the same, but it's like 2 different things. But at the end, they really go to the same road and that same goal. I know that we have a lot of questions, but the time is always not on our best side, especially if it's a good time. Dr. Asmaa, any last words?
I just encourage everyone to learn new languages, and especially our young generation, because it will open up a lot of doors for them, even if they actually seek another career. English is really like the lingua franca of everything now. So,
well,
thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And all thanks and appreciations to our guest, Dr. Asmaa Alduhaim, Assistant Professor of Translation at Gust University.